Hey Run Junkies, it's been a while since I've done a Throwback Thursday, but I was inspired by a few of you to kind of go back into the memory banks a little bit. Elizabeth, after viewing my medal recount and specifically the Ironman medal, asked me what got me into triathlon in the first place. So today, let's talk about how this whole crazy journey started, not as a runner, but as a swimmer. So a quick story of my life. When I was a kid, my dad was the swim coach for not only the local swim teams, but for the high school swim teams as well. As a result, I was in the water at a very early age. I have always loved swimming. I've always loved being in the water. It's where I'm the most comfortable. So I swam competitively off and on for the next 20 years or so, but I realized that I really wasn't into team sports and I didn't have a work ethic to excel in these lifestyle type sports. Now, around this time, the endurance industries, triathlon and running specifically, were starting to see a spike in growth. Enter the Danskin Women's Triathlon Series, and this is really where triathlon started bringing women into the sport. The Danskin series were women-only events. It was a great place where women could kind of get out of their comfort zone a little bit, try something that they may have otherwise been too intimidated to try. So in 2004, I somehow decided, I literally cannot remember what made me think of this or even want to try out or how I even learned about the Danskin Women's Triathlon. I had signed up for my first sprint distance triathlon. I figured I had the hard part figured out. I already knew how to swim. That's the hard part for a lot of athletes. That the swim part is what freaks people out the most. I had that figured out. And then I figured after that, I have a bike and I can run. By the way, at that time, I hated running. That was the weakest of my three sports, and I didn't even train on the run for that first triathlon. I rode a mountain bike. I got passed by power walkers. It was everything I had no clue about being a triathlete, and I loved every minute of it. Fast forward through a couple of summers, I went back to the Danskin Women's Triathlon, and I also added in Try for the Cure. I was ready to start pushing distance a little bit, and in 2006, I signed up for my first Boulder Peak Olympic distance triathlon. This one kicked my butt. The Boulder Peak course goes up a very short but very steep hill. I like to call it the asphalt tsunami. I had to get off my bike and walk up it, and then when I finished the bike and I'm coming into the bike to run transition, I actually fell off my bike at the dismount line because I couldn't unclip my pedals. At the time, I thought I'm going longer, so I want a better bike. I got myself a time trial bike. I have named him Gary. We were just getting to know each other. He didn't know me very well. I think he threw me off the bike. I think it's his fault, but we've gotten over it now. I was so shaken by that fall that I almost didn't go out for the run. I almost called it right then and there. I had a friend who was volunteering in transition that day. He basically talked me down and he said, look, just go out, start walking, just get yourself moving again. So I did, and I finished, and that was my last triathlon for 4 years. That day had just gotten in my head. Now I did get back out there, but after I had my son. So in 2010, I started getting a little bit more competitive with myself. I wanted to see how much farther, how much harder I could push myself. Could I beat the last time? I went back to the Boulder Peak Olympic distance triathlon as kind of a redemption race. I really wanted to prove to myself that I didn't have to get off the bike to finish that hill, that I was going to come into transition too strong, and I did. I killed it. I crushed it. And I remember at the time I said a lot of very unladylike things about that course. But from there, you can check out the rest of my journey in this playlist right here. It's a bunch of other Throwback Thursday videos about whether or not I did Ironman Boulder and Ironman Coeur d'Alene and all of the issues surrounding the heat of that day. But here's the thing that triathlon did for me. Whew, boy, this is always hard. I'm gonna get emotional. Here's the thing that triathlon did for me. It taught me to take care of myself and my body. It taught me that I am stronger than I thought, and I am capable of far more than I ever thought possible. I found that with every goal I crush, I can dig a little deeper into myself and find strength that I never knew I possessed. The thing about finishing an Ironman, to me, it wasn't about the 140.6 miles on that one day in June of 2015. It was trying something I had never tried before. It was working hard and committing to a challenge that I put in front of myself. It was something unknown and it scared me out of my wits. Being an Ironman wasn't about 140.6 miles. It never has been. It was about the thousands of miles that I covered over the 11 years since that first Danskin triathlon. I went through a marriage. I had a baby. I got divorced. Friendships came and went. It took so much of my being to get to that day. I'd been through a lot. After finishing Ironman, there wasn't a lot left out there to scare me, except maybe doing it again. So there's my story. Long before I was this runner that you see before you on this screen, making Run Disney costumes and talking about running shoes, I was a nerdy band geek who swam on occasion, who just wanted to see what she was made of. When I find out, I'll let you know. But once again, thank you guys so much for encouraging me and inspiring me to go back and look at the beginnings of this journey and how I got right here. My question for you today is this: what on your athletic journey has inspired you and maybe even scared you, even just a little bit? Please leave thoughts, questions, comments, and suggestions in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe. We're almost done with Vlogtober, but there's so much more to come. Please hit that thumbs up if you like this video. That's it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Go find your awesome. We'll see you next time, and happy running.